But technique for forgiveness. This was that very first post, the one that David Fishman picked up and posted on the Peace of God. So let me read that for you. Again, we're at November 8th, 2004 on reginadawnakers.com. What is a technique for forgiveness? Here's the Holy Spirit's answer. The reason forgiveness seems difficult is because you are focusing on the illusion or the ego and not reality or God. If you turn your focus to reality, forgiveness will be natural. Jesus taught the technique for forgiveness when he said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." The first step in forgiveness is the same as the first commandment. Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. To do this, you will have to forget the painful transgression for at least a little while. Remember why you love God. Focus on the attributes that recall Him to your mind. Nothing else will matter when you focus on your love for God, because nothing else is. And I understood as I was writing this that, let's say somebody ticked me off. I don't know who, but person A ticks me off. Well, what the Holy Spirit is saying is that for a few minutes, we're not ignoring this grievance, but for a few minutes I need to forget about person A and the situation that's ticking me off. And I need to go within and I need to focus on God, or you could focus on the Holy Spirit, or focus on light, or focus on your willingness or your true desire. Whatever holy focus works for you would be fine. But go in and focus on God in some way. And as we focus on God, what we notice is that the light seems to expand within us. And so really what he's asking us to do is to fill our mind with God first. That's the first step in the forgiveness process. Then, he says the second and third steps in forgiveness are found in the second commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. To be successful with this commandment, you must love yourself. So the second step in forgiveness is to focus on God within you. It will be difficult to find God within you when the dark clouds of illusion hide His light. You must face the clouds within you and gently blow them away from the light. You have already called upon God, so if you are willing to love yourself, He will help you. There is no reason to be concerned at this point. Simply ask yourself, how did this transgression make me feel? Then ask why, and keep asking why until you get to the root of your feelings. This is the dark cloud, and when you find it, it will be easy to blow it away from the light, because God will be with you, telling you that it simply isn't true. You and He are one. The attributes that apply to Him apply to you as well, and anything else is simply fear. Then hold God's hand, and with His help, love yourself. Your fear will simply melt away. Then blow a gentle breeze. Let it pass from your lips as the love for yourself as God fills your heart, your soul, and your mind. And this was my first scribal challenge. I remember how difficult it was for me to write the words as God. I wasn't to a place within my own mind, within my own acceptance, that I wanted to love myself as God. So that was difficult to write, but I did write it down anyway. And then what I did was I started trying to practice this. So, if something seemed to upset me, for example, if I seemed to get upset at my daughter, I would practice this. I would first, put myself on a timeout, go into my bedroom, close the door, and I would first focus on God, the attributes of God, get to where I felt like I was completely filled with light. And then when I felt completely filled with light, I would then recall the error, whatever had made me upset. I would recall, what seemingly Jasmine did. And I would say, why has this upset me? or how did this make me feel and why? And for example, I remember one day, it was early in the morning, and for some reason, Jasmine hauled off and hit me in the breast really hard. And it hurt, and I was very angry at her for hitting me in the breast. But then I remembered this forgiveness practice. And so when I asked, how did that make you feel? How did that make me feel? I realized right away that it made me feel disrespected. That's how it made me feel. And then when I started questioning my feelings underneath disrespect, what I really got to was that I had all kinds of rules in my mind, how a child should be with a parent, and that I really realized those rules came from my own unworthiness, that I felt like a bad mom if I didn't have a child who respected me. So I was able to see my unworthiness. So that's an example of the root of the feelings. The real reason that I was mad at Jasmine was because of my own unworthiness and my own fear that she was proving me to be a bad mom by hitting me in the breast. So then, now that I understood where my upset was coming from, which was my own sense of unworthiness, that's the dark cloud that I needed to blow away. And what I would do is, first of all, when you're letting things come up, you'll notice that you do still feel them. They don't go away. So I would feel the unworthiness, but I would do exactly what Holy Spirit said here. He says, blow a gentle breeze, let it pass from your lips. So I would feel the unworthiness, and I would literally go, and I would kind of exhale the feeling out of me. And I would just sit doing that until I felt it pass. So that was really step 2. Step 1, fill your mind with God. And then step 2, look at the seeming transgression and find the root. And then the root is what needs to be forgiven or let go. And Carl, I'm going to get to your question in just a second. But then I'm going to go to the third step. He says the third step is to extend this love to your brother. So what happens after I sit with my root, which is unworthiness in this case, and I blow, and it leaves me, eventually what I begin to feel is love again for myself, love of God. It's all the same thing. But then the dark cloud goes away, and all I feel is the love. So now that I'm back in touch with the love, Holy Spirit says the third step is to extend this love to your brother. He is no different from you. The mistakes that he's made are based on his belief that he is separate from God. His mistakes stem from fear. He is just like you, only right now he doesn't know it, and so he is suffering. Your brother needs to remember God's love. Be willing to let it extend through you to him. Focus only on the love that is. So what he's helping me to do now is to have compassion for, in this case, Jasmine, the one who seemed to hit me in the breast, and realize that her frustration, was just coming from her not knowing who she is, and from her having her own roots or her own dark clouds that she's not aware of and not forgiving. And that's really, what caused her to hit me. And of course, this is the same thing as the Course saying it's just a call for love. And so the Holy Spirit is teaching me now to respond with love, to take this love that I have found through this forgiveness technique, and now in my mind and also in action, to extend that love back to her. And then the Holy Spirit ends with, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the technique for forgiveness. And it's a wonderful way to remember the technique because, again, step 1 is to love the Lord your God, to bring God into your mind fully. Step 2, in order to love your neighbors yourself, first you got to love yourself. So you got to find what's in you that's blocking that love right now, and you've got to let that go or blow that away. Then when that's gone, step 3, you can come back and love your neighbor because you've found love yourself, and now you can extend it. So it was a beautiful, beautiful technique for forgiveness, and the first thing that the Holy Spirit ever gave me, and I think it's still quite a treasure. So